All right, confession time. I love postcards. I grew up before digital cameras and camera phones, and film was expensive and you could never guarantee a good photo. So what did I do? I'd buy postcards of iconic places whenever I'd go visit. Always guarantee a good photo this way. So, what is an iconic place? What is an iconic place? It is, by definition, a place that you know it when you see it. So, any of these photos here, you should be able to identify what city it is. So, that's my definition of an iconic place. So, what about Indianapolis? What's iconic here? This is my number one contender, right? This is Victory. This is a photograph from Aaron Milborn. You may have seen it recently on Instagram. But this sculpture sits on top of Soldiers and Sailors Monument, and it doubles as a topper to the world's largest Christmas tree. So, in its century of existence, Victory has become a symbol of our city and our residents. It is a muse for local artists and crafters, and it is found on logos, and it's been seen on beer labels as well. So Victory is a popular figure. And yes, it goes fast. You speak faster than the time everyone else. Just prepare yourselves. All right, so to be fully transparent, though, I'm a little biased. I have spent much of my professional life tending to Soldiers and Sailors Monument. It's obviously a source of pride for me, but I think Victory is a source of pride for everyone here in Indianapolis. She's also a lot bigger on the ground than she is up in the sky. But I think that she's also part of a larger, more iconic space, which is Monument Circle. So Monument Circle is our front door. It's where we come to celebrate. It's where we come to protest. It is where we bring our guests. It's where we often hang out. This is a fantastic, iconic space for Indianapolis. And it was designed that way. Alexander Ralston, when he designed the Mile Square, put the circle in the center for the rest of the city to literally revolve around. Though he would be surprised to see the monument there in the middle of Monument Circle. Originally, it was intended to house or host the governor's residence. But Monument Circle is one of the most Instagram sites here in Indianapolis. And, you know, as citizens, we're always proud of that, right? Who doesn't love photos like these? But as you get further away from the city, how recognizable is Monument Circle to outsiders? Well, thankfully, thanks to national events like the Super Bowl and events like the American Ninja Warrior, it's becoming more prevalent. There's a story that goes along with that, by the way, but I don't suspect that it's instantly recognizable, or at least not yet. The Instagrams that you do see are more about the experience than it is about the structure and space itself. I say realistically, Lucas Oil Stadium is probably more recognizable nationally. Of course, that has to do with the Indianapolis Colts, the NCAA Final Four, the Super Bowl, concerts, conventions, things of that nature. People can pick out Lucas Oil Stadium and identify the city where it's located. The problem is that we are notorious for really having short lifespans for our arenas and our stadiums. So when you think about it, we only have about 15 more years of Lucas Oil Stadium. So I wouldn't get too attached to the notion of it being iconic for Indianapolis. So there's another experience we should consider. And that is that iconic spaces and structures aren't always experienced from the ground. They're experienced from the sky as well. How often have you leaned over your fellow passenger to look out the airplane window to take a look at the skyline? So what do you see when you fly over Indianapolis? Indianapolis Motor Speedway, right? So it has the benefit, of course, of being close to the airport, but you don't have to strain your eyes to see this sucker, right? This thing is massive. The track, but it's not just about being massive. The space itself and the functions that have happened there, they're all legendary. Aside from the annual media circus that occurs every May, the track has also been the leading lady to stars like Clark Gable, Paul Newman, and Turbo the Animated Racing Snail. And it's been referenced in dozens of TV shows and movies as well. I will argue that the front stretch with the pagoda, with the pylon, with the brick starting line is probably the most iconic space and structures in Indianapolis. And this is even though the pagoda, the pavilion, or the pylon have all been replaced several times over the years, but you still recognize it, right? I think that speaks more to Indianapolis. Let's go back to the fact that it's massive. How many times have you seen this graphic where half of the planet is shown to be able to fit inside of the Speedway? But it's still a very abstract notion, right? How big is the Speedway? Wait a second. If you tipped it up on its side, it would be over 5 city blocks wide and 5 times as tall as Salesforce Tower. How freaking amazing is that? So you only usually see this during flight. I think there's additional options that we can take advantage of. So as Roger Penske considers the future of the track, he should find a way to get people above the Speedway. It could be in the form of a tower. It could be in the form of an amusement. But personally, I love the all-American classic, the Ferris wheel. Set it up behind the stands at turn 2, lined up with the front straightaway. I mean, come on. You'll get a direct view of the best view and track. What's also great is if you had a structure like that, you would also get great views back to downtown. So you have the opportunity to see the rest of the city from there. Even better, something that tall that's in that Speedway, you can see from downtown and from other areas of the city. Right now, when you're downtown, you don't know where the Speedway is. You don't really see it. So one last thought. The greenways, the canal, the cultural trail that we have, they're also iconic in their own right. They connect with many great landmarks in Indianapolis. If we expand these assets to connect the Speedway to downtown, we could take these individual icons and create one iconic Indianapolis. Boom!